Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا
الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today, what I've just recited is something that when I was speaking to younger kids over the last few months, they recognized that this was part, as you're all probably aware, or if you're not, at the end of most khutbahs around the world. In the second part of the khutbah, you hear, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَيَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ وَالْبَغْيِ يَعِظُكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. There's a reason why, at the end of the khutbahs, it's commonly recited. And it's not a spell, like when I spoke to kids, I'm often asked by the sheikh, he says, look, please come speak because, to the young people, we need to get to them. And when I asked the young people, hey, we're saying this, what do you think? And they said, I think it's a dua. I think at the end, the imam just wants to wrap it up. And so he says this thing, Allahu Alam what it means. But it sounds like, it has a bit of a rhythm. And subhanAllah, I realized that sometimes we assume knowledge. Sometimes something so important and the reason why it's repeated gets lost. And today I wanted to just run through and make sure all of us, including myself, we understand this actual ayah. First of all, if you don't know, it's part of the Quran. Second of all, it's been in the khutbahs since the time of the Salaf. What is the ayah? It's in Surah An-Nahl, ayah 90. What's really, really, really interesting is that this ayah, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, at the time of one of the Sahabi, he knew the Quran so well. And he knew so much of the Quran. And his comment is so poignant to explain why this ayah is repeated in Saudi, in UAE, Somalia, Egypt, everywhere. He says, this ayah is all-encompassing of the entire religion in one ayah, i.e., everything you need to know about the principles of Islam is in this ayah. That's why it's so important. This ayah encompasses everything you need to know about what Islam is about, is in this ayah, which is why it's repeated. Because the idea is we are supposed to listen. Oh, yeah, I need to do it. How come? It says it in the ayah, يَعِظَكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. Allah is saying, I am going to be counseling you. The stuff that I've just said, 3 things that are good things, 3 things that are bad things, that's my counsel. Allah is saying, I am giving you counsel. Hopefully you'll remember. Hopefully you'll be able to follow. Can you imagine? It means that the 3 things, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى. These 3 things, for certain, and I'll translate it, for certainly, إِنَّ اللَّهَ, for certainly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that commands you to actually be just. And it's important that actual the first, second, and third. Its order is very important. Allah commands us as a society, as a Muslim, and commands us to be just. And the next thing is, and then excellence. And then give to your close relatives. That's the first part. They're the positives. What does that mean? You may think when you're sitting here, you say, part of society. I'm not part of society. I'm part of the Somali community. I'm just part of AMSA. I'm part of the doctors community. Or I'm part of this. I'm not part of broader society. I just do my thing. You've got to understand that when Islam came, and it has always been the same, Islam has come not only to change the individual, but to change society. And us, all of us that say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, all of us have a part to play. Because as soon as we say that, we become the actual parts of the puzzle that are the parts that will change society. Inna Allaha ya'muru bil 'adl. He commands you to be just. In other words, every single time that you are asked to do something, you must be just. And if your neighbor is a Buddhist, or your neighbor is a Christian, or you're working for a Hindu, you cannot put, for example, an invoice for your time that is incorrect just because he does not believe. Because Allah is saying He commands you to be just. He didn't say He commands you to be just to Muslims. He didn't say He commands you to be just to really good Muslims. He didn't command you to say you've got to be just to people that look like you or speak like you or people that are your friends. He says you must be just. And it's the first thing. In other words, if you want a society to flourish, you must have justice for everyone. And the people that are supposed to implement justice, the people that are supposed to be the ones that do the justice, are the Muslims. And this is how everything changed. Inna Allah ya'muru bil 'adl wal ihsan. The base, if I start like a diagram, the base is justice. That's the bottom of the rung. SubhanAllah, think of the Muslim countries, non-Muslim countries. Is there justice? That's the bottom. The best is ihsan. And Allah doesn't define it. He just says, and excellence. In other words, excellence in every single facet of your behavior. In other words, justice is at the bottom, ihsan is at the top, And this encompasses every single good deed that you can do. And Allah commands you to do it. But here's the fascinating part. In Arabic, when I say ihsan, I translate it excellence. But when I look at the Mufassirun, they've described it and they've said this is what ihsan includes. If you're doing ihsan, it means you're good, you're generous, you're sympathetic, you're tolerant, you're forgiving, you're polite, you're cooperative, you're selfless. You get my drift. Every single facet of any good deed, anything you do is ihsan. I'm at the lights and I see that an elderly lady, she presses the button. I'm waiting at the lights in my car, an elderly lady comes, she presses the button, and she's got a problem with her hip or back, and she's very slow, and she presses the button, it says, it's green, and she's so slow she doesn't even get there, and then all of a sudden, it's red. You can see it's red. It's not time to cross. Clearly, the justice is on my side. It says green, I can go, and it's got a little thing, red. Don't walk. And she, of course, is so slow that she puts her foot in front there on the wall and starts walking, and it's clearly red. What do I do? Do I say it's my just right and accelerate 80 kilometers an hour, knock her over and get to the hospital? MashaAllah. The idea is, ihsan is when you're sympathetic and you say, you know what, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to smile. Hello. Yeah, no problems. Keep on walking. Keep on. Yeah. Slow. It's okay. Keep on. Yeah, okay. Keep on. Oh, you want to stop in the middle of the road? Okay, I'll just wait. It's okay. I'm not going to beat my horn. Okay, keep on walking. Finally. Okay, well done. Okay, bye bye, and keep on going. This is the idea of where ihsan. We need ihsan because if you just do and follow the rules bluntly, you won't have a happy society. And this is the idea of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to say. And here's the other kicker. You would think, وَآتِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى, and give to your relatives. But that's if justice is at the bottom and ihsan is in the top. Giving to your relatives is clear, that's within the good deeds. But Allah wants to make a specific mention of family. Specifically. Because He wants to highlight from the narrative of looking at it from a society point of view, what's a society? A society means a lot of communities. And what's a lot of communities? A lot of families. And Allah is saying, you cannot have a magnificent society built around Islam if there's problems in communities. And if there's problems in communities, it means that there's going to be problems in families. And if in your family, and there are a lot of fathers here, I'm sure there's a lot of mothers here, if in a family, you are not doing justice and ihsan and not giving to your relatives, you will not be able to construct a great family. Because it's multiple families that are strong that build a multiple community that's strong. And multiple communities then build a magnificent society. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to say. For example, in a family, if I have two sons and I give one son a present and I don't give the other son a present, I have committed injustice to the one that I did not give. You cannot do that. And that leads, from that injustice, it will lead to very likely a problem with inheritance because the siblings will fight. You have your parents, and your parents may need you or want something from you, and your wife asks, and she wants something too, and you say, no, I want to do my rights. I'm going to fulfill my rights to my parents. They're very important, and I'm not going to fulfill the rights of my wife. It's my wife. She'll be there when I get home. That doesn't work. You cannot be just on one and then injustice in another. One of the guys that I met, he's selling drugs, making good money. And he said, come, you need to come, and the Doctors Association, I'm going to sponsor it. And they said, subhanAllah, not that great idea, because, he says, no, brother, no. All the chicken is halal. I bought it. All the food for the organization will be halal. You cannot have haram money and buy the halal chicken and make the chicken halal. That doesn't work. So you cannot be unjust in one side and just on another, and it equals out. That doesn't create a great society. And then the flip side of the idea, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَيَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ. And he forbids you to do 3 things. So he encouraged you to do 3 things for a good society, and he forbids you to do another 3 things. What are the things that he wants you to stay away from, just for the sake of time? Anything, fahsha, they say, is anything that's done in secret, anything obscene, anything that you would be ashamed of. That's fahsha. They sometimes say it's to do with being with a woman or being with a man. But fahsha is something in secret, and anything that you do like that type of sin. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand that if you do these obscene things, it will affect your relationship with your spouse. It will. We even know that from psychology. If people are watching too much pornography, or people are doing all sorts of wearing no dress, if you're not wearing enough and not covering up, you tend to be the other side, the girls or the boys, will come to you and ask and speak to you more when you're wearing nothing. These things can affect your relationship. And what's munkar, I forbid you to, and Allah says, and He forbids you to fahsha wal munkar. And munkar are any sins that are out in the open. Everyone will accept that they're bad, and they will affect society, and they will affect your family relationship. If you steal, if you murder, that's munkar. Well, the idea of oppression, the idea of putting anyone, for example, if you're the boss of someone, and every single time you see the person under you, you're nasty. You put them under the pump. That's the type of idea, that's the type of oppression. And finally, Allah says, it's so important, these 3 things to stay away from, and 3 things to actually act upon. Allah is saying, this is my counsel. Hopefully you will remember. And this is the essence of why continually after every khutbah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَيَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ وَالْبَغْيِ يَعِظُكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. It's repeated. The idea is to create a better society, and that's what Islam has come for. And this is the basis of how, if we implement it in our own little family, small families will make better communities, and better communities will make a better society. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. SubhanAllah, this message I hope is important. Society, as you know, is shifting. And if you're not aware, we are almost under attack. We are the final bastions of religion, bastions of ethics and morals. And the same principles that have been given from the time of Adam alayhi salam, the same message we have carried as Muslims all the way through the ages. And Rasulullah is the final messenger, and we are followers of that. The idea of this repetition and this idea of making sure that you take care of your own family highlights one thing, that every single one of you has an important part to play in the building blocks of your own family, your own community, and then your own society. All of you have an important purpose. Nowadays, in the hospitals, mental health is going sky high. People with depression, anxiety, all sorts of issues. and often the base of which, some need medication and that's no problems, but sometimes the essence is that the person lacks purpose. Why am I here? I mean, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I have no purpose. And Allah in this ayah says, you all are so important because you have a part to play even in the small family that you have, and that will have a cascade event affecting your community and affecting the society. And I believe that each and every one of us here can make this society here in Melbourne so much better. صدق الله العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعائي. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت. أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا